your weather guy here with an update on the Atlantic hurricane season, which has lulled many to sleep over the last couple of weeks, but looks like it's going to be waking up possibly in a big way. So we have a tropical wave located just east of 40 West in the central Atlantic, and the National Hurricane Center is currently giving us a 40% chance of development in the next 7 days. Next 7 days should be somewhere in the Eastern Caribbean, maybe head towards the Central Caribbean. So plenty of time to watch this. I don't think this is the time to be running out to the grocery stores or anything like that, but it is a good reminder that we are in the peak of hurricane season and you need to have a plan in place. If you're anywhere along the eastern seaboard or the Gulf Coast, you need to be paying attention to this. So let's take a look at some possible scenarios. Actually, matter of fact, we'll pull up the satellite here just to see what's going on currently with our tropical wave. So let's zoom in. So we have actually a couple features here. The one we're focusing on is right in the middle of the screen here, right about 40 West now. See all that convection? That's our tropical wave that we want to be focused on. The one to the east of that actually looks a lot more impressive, but that's not the one we're focusing on right now. So again, this is moving probably 10 to 15 miles per hour. It's going to take a lot of time for this to actually get into the Caribbean, so we have plenty of time to watch this. But let's pop over to the models and see what we're looking at as far as possible scenarios go. So this is the GFS from this morning with, in my opinion, probably one of the worst case scenarios that you can have with a hurricane. So this hurricane's taking a path similar to Charlie, where Charlie came up across the western portion of Cuba, or the western tip of Cuba, and into the southwestern part of Florida. So the GFS this morning is doing something similar, bringing it a little bit further north, actually into Tampa Bay, which would be worst case scenario. You have a strong hurricane entering into Tampa Bay. You're going to have catastrophic flooding there. So we'll just put this back and put this into motion. You can see that coming across Cuba, kind of paralleling the Gulf of Mexico, and then coming right into Tampa Bay. So let's hope that doesn't happen. The good news is this is a long ways out. We're probably talking about 10 to 14 days before we see impacts in the United States. And that is if this holds together, right? 40% chance of development. This is not a guaranteed certainty, but conditions, it does look like it's becoming favorable for development. But over the next few days, really to the week or so, we're going to see wild solutions from this, what we have here in the GFS this morning, to probably near misses and maybe this thing even completely dying out, and absolutely everything in between. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button, subscribe and follow if you haven't already. That way you can get those updates and help this channel to grow. We'd certainly appreciate that. But let's go ahead and pop over to the European Ensembles, which is one of my favorite tools to use. I think it's super effective when you're trying to forecast in the medium to long range. It just shows many different types of solutions, not just one model. It's actually it's running the same model with small changes. It's running it actually 51 times, so you get a bigger picture of what could actually take place than just taking a look at one model. So we're gonna look at the European, and so I think this is pretty telling. So we're gonna put this forward to early next week, and we're gonna zoom in here in the Eastern Caribbean. See these red numbers right here? That's our tropical system. So this is low pressure that the models are identifying, and the numbers are the strength of the system. So if we're gonna move forward in time, we're gonna notice something. We're gonna notice some of those clusters moving north of Hispaniola and Cuba, and some of those clusters staying south. So the ones that stay north, it looks like they're going to be tugged northward, and that would bring the East Coast into play, and possible recurvature where it completely misses the eastern seaboard as well. So that's a possible situation. But if we go forward here, we can see some of those low pressure systems threatening the southeast coast, some of them threatening all the way up into Long Island area. So again, really, if you're anywhere along the East Coast, pay attention. Doesn't mean the threat's imminent. It just means that at this time, anything's possible. And if we take a look in the Gulf of Mexico, those clusters that stayed south, I should pull this back again and go forward so you can see, those clusters that stayed south were able to kind of undercut that tug north, at least until they entered the Gulf of Mexico. And once they enter into the Gulf of Mexico, you have all that warm water Could really all scenarios really on the table at that point. Speaking of the Gulf of Mexico, I wanted to show you this real quick. So we did a video last week, and we talked about something maybe trying to pop up, or something trying to sneak under the radar and pop up in the northern Gulf of Mexico. If we take a look at the satellite, we have this very interesting feature here. So it looks like we do have something trying to get going. Chances of this developing are low, but this is looking pretty impressive, I gotta say. At the very least, there's going to be a ton of rainfall from Louisiana to probably the northwestern coast of Texas. But we're going to watch that because this does look really interesting. But as far as this developing into tropical depression, tropical storm, chances of that are low. But this is looking too impressive to ignore. It doesn't look like it's going anywhere, so we'll keep that updated as well. We're going to have more updates on the tropical wave in the Atlantic as we get more information in. So again, please follow and subscribe so you can get those updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.